Oh, yeah. All right. We are obviously with Dee Snider, the legend. You have a new comic book out. He's Not Gonna Take It, which is amazing. I read it last night.
Oh, did you? Cool.
And I have to say, like, holy crap, it, like, hit me really hard because there's a lot of things that I think a lot of people can relate to. I love how it's a layered story. It's not only just about you, going to Congress and really speaking on behalf of, like, our rights, but also your story about, like, growing up in a household that maybe wasn't super conducive to being creative, and, like, that's something that I can kind of relate to. So, how did this project begin?
Well, Z2 approached me about the graphic novel, feeling that my censorship hearings in the 80s were historic but timely also, with what's going on in the world today. But they really wanted to know more about how I became that voice at that time. They just wanted to do the story, as you said, of the hearings themselves, but how did my life and the world, come together and meet there? And I didn't have the answers. So we did extensive interviews with the book writer, and he really went back. I mean, there's a frame there of me in the cradle.
Yeah.
But what I discovered, and it was very therapeutic for me, was I was basically one of those kids that was told, know your place, keep your mouth shut, just stay in the background.
Yeah.
You're a background player, And for a long time, I just sat back there, wanted to say more, wanted to speak up, but just being shut down endlessly. And finally in high school, I just said, you know what, I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm speaking out. And I never stopped. And so it really, you were saying, it touched you. And it was a message here is, don't let people decide your destiny for you. In your heart what you're meant to be and where you're meant to be. And you need to pursue those things, just like I did, and I guess thankfully so.
Yeah. Now, this was obviously it's a very deeply personal story. Was it kind of difficult at first to really, tell this story, like to put everything out there, or was this just like the time, you wanted to like really tell everything?
I'm definitely at a time in my life where, I not only am comfortable sharing, but I feel it's important sharing.
Yeah.
Especially things that will show people they're not alone. Rock stars or rock icons, or whatever you want to call me, are not something created on a mountain somewhere. They evolve, they become, and most times it's humble beginnings. Humble beginnings, very humble beginnings. So I definitely feel that people need to be lifted up, and if I could share something that tells somebody, hey, Dee went through it, he survived, he thrived, maybe I can too.
Yeah, and that's amazing because it really is about, like, reaching other people and being like, I was this maybe misfit, but then, I really came into my own, and now I'm like this fucking badass. That's amazing. I think that's such a cool story for, like, a lot of people.
Well, you can be, there's two ways you can go. You can get weaker from oppression, or you can get stronger by pushing back against it. And, I was being weak, becoming weaker, and then at some point realized that was happening to me and started pushing the other way and got stronger from battle to be who I am. So I can't recommend it more highly. Fight back, people.
Nice. Now, what was it like the first time you saw, like, illustrations of yourself in this comic? Was that kind of like a surreal moment, or?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a fanboy, comic book, reader my whole life. To see myself immortalized in comic book form, especially some of those special edition Kirby-esque covers they did.
Yeah.
So cool. So yeah, it's definitely surreal. And sometimes, just, of course, there's times you're going, well, wait a minute, the words were interpreted by the artist, and it's not exactly how it happened, but you got to allow some creative license and, and interpretation, as long as the truth is being told. If your hair wasn't parted on that side, it was parted on this side, let's not get too crazy.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's awesome. Well, it looks like I need to wrap up, but real quick, is there any other projects you're working on, or anything like fans can look for?
I wrote my first novel. It's called Frats.
Oh, nice.
It's available now through Red Penguin Books. You can buy it pretty much everywhere. And it's not about rock. It's not about me. It's a coming-of-age story set in the 70s, where I grew up on Long Island. It's kind of like The Outsiders for the 70s, but it's based on actual events. There was a gang world where I grew up, and so using fictitious characters, I told the true stories of things that happened. So look for that, please. I promise you, I've been writing for decades now. I'm a good writer.
Nice. That's awesome.